Here is how to water plants in peat-free compost without killing them. You water the pot, you watch the water run out of the bottom, so you know the job is done. And a week later, the plant has died of thirst. Nothing was wrong with the plant, nothing was wrong with you. The bag of compost changed, and nobody told you the rules changed with it. I am Mikhail. Today, the peat-free trap. 2 lies your compost tells you. Undoes them. Walk into any garden center and look at the compost stack. Bag after bag says peat-free in big proud letters. For decades, British potting compost was built on peat, dark, spongy, forgiving stuff that held water like a damp sponge and let it go gently. Whole generations learned to water on it. Every instinct you have about what a dry pot looks like was trained on peat. Those bags are going now, and why they are going is a story for another day. What matters out the back is simple. The new mixes are a different recipe altogether. Here is the usual cast. Core, the fiber from coconut husks, holds the water. Perlite or pumice holds the air. Bark keeps it draining. Composted green stuff brings the food, and every brand mixes them differently, which is half the trouble. Nothing wrong with any of it. It grows perfectly good plants. The old boys at my allotment have opinions about that, mostly unprintable. But nobody reprinted the watering rules on the label. The new mixes hold water differently, dry out differently, and drink differently. And they tell 2 particular lies. The first lie fools your eyes. The second fools your watering can. Let us take them one at a time. Lie number 1, the pale top. Peat-free mixes dry from the surface, fast. A day of sun and a bit of wind, and the top of the pot turns pale and dusty. It looks parched. It looks like a pot begging for a drink. Push a finger in though, and the story changes 1 knuckle down. Under that pale crust, the compost is dark, cool, and damp. The roots are sitting in moisture, only the skin has dried. Your eyes were trained on the old stuff, where pale meant dry near enough. On the new mixes, the surface dries long before the middle, so the top of the pot is always crying wolf. And what do kind gardeners do with a pot that looks thirsty? They water it. Then again the next day, because the surface dried out again overnight, into compost that never got a chance to breathe. We did a whole episode on what happens next. Roots need air as well as water, and a root zone kept permanently sodden suffocates, then rots. That is how the first lie kills. Not through neglect, through kindness, 1 unneeded can at a time. So here is the first rule of peat-free. The surface is a weather report for the top inch. Your plant lives in the climate underneath. Lie number 2 is nastier, and it points the other way. Say a pot gets away from you. A heat wave, a holiday, a busy week. The compost dries right through, light and hard. Now you try to put it right, and something strange happens. The water will not go in. Once peat-free mixes are truly bone dry, they can turn water repellent. Hydrophobic is the proper word. The dried material stops drinking and starts shedding. You have seen this in your own kitchen. A sponge left hard and dry on the draining board does the same trick. Run the tap over it and the water rolls straight off. It only drinks again once it is slightly damp. And while the compost dried, it did something else. It shrank and pulled away from the side of the pot, leaving a slot running from the surface straight down to the drainage holes. Water always takes the easiest road. So your carefully poured canful slides down that gap, races along the bottom, and pours out of the holes. It touched nothing on the way. Here is the cruel part. Water at the drainage holes is the exact signal you were taught to trust. Keep going until it runs out of the bottom, we say. The rule is sound, but the rule has a clock hidden inside it. In a healthy pot, water takes its time soaking through before the surplus appears. From a baked pot, it is out within seconds, and seconds is the giveaway. No root ball drinks that fast. Same puddle under the pot. Opposite meaning. One says fully watered, the other says nothing went in at all. This is why the forums stay full of the same desperate question: underwater or overwater? There is a famous thread asking exactly that, and you can feel the exhaustion in it. The top is bone dry, so they keep watering. The water runs straight through in seconds. The plant keeps getting worse. Hundreds of replies, arguing both ways. And you can see now why nobody could agree. In peat-free, your eyes get no vote. The pale top lies in one direction, and the puddle lies in the other. So use the one witness that cannot lie. Wait. Water is heavy. A liter of it weighs a kilogram. And a properly watered pot is carrying a surprising amount of it. Lift the pot when you know it is freshly watered, and learn that heaviness. Lift it again whenever you are unsure. Light as a biscuit tin means dry, whatever the puddle said. Properly heavy means wet, whatever the pale top says. 2 seconds, no gadget, no guesswork. If the pot is too big to lift, sink a finger in, down to the second knuckle. The test we learned back in episode 2, hands beat eyes, every time. So where does the trap bite first? Wherever the compost volume is small and the drying is fast. Hanging baskets top the list. A basket swings in the wind with its sides exposed, and last episode we saw how fast a small store of water goes. On a hot day baked by tea time, seed trays and modules are next. Each cell holds a handful of compost, no more. One sunny bank holiday weekend is all it takes, and the forums are full of that exact heartbreak. Terracotta pots in full sun bake from the walls inward. Grow bags against a bright wall cook quietly from behind. If that list sounds like a tour of your own patio, it is a tour of mine as well. So when you come home from a weekend away, check the smallest pots first. Small dries fastest. Small bakes fastest too. Right, the rescue. You cannot argue with the top of a baked pot. Pouring harder only sends more water down the gap. So you go in from the bottom instead, and you let the pot rescue itself. Gardeners call it bottom watering. Find a washing up bowl, a bucket, or for a bad case, the bath. Put in a few centimeters of water. Cold tap is fine. Stand the pot in it, base fully down, and walk away. Put the kettle on. The pot is having a bath. What happens down there is quietly clever. Water creeps up into the compost from below, the way tea climbs into a dunked biscuit, slow and steady, arriving everywhere at once, with no gap to escape through. And as soon as the material is slightly damp, it remembers how to drink, and pulls the rest up on its own. Give it 15 to 30 minutes. The pot will tell you when it is done, because it turns heavy in your hands. That is the finish line. Clearly heavier means the root ball is properly wet again. Then lift it out and let it drain. One warning before you get carried away. Do not leave any pot standing much past the half hour, and do not make a habit of soaking healthy ones. Roots that sit in water start to drown, and that is lie number 1 all over again. Soak it, drain it, done. That is the cure. Prevention is cheaper, and it is nothing fancier than rhythm. A pot that gets a steady, modest drink every morning never swings between soaked and baked. The compost stays evenly damp, it never shrinks, and the gap never opens. My problem is the rota. Some weeks I leave the house at 5, so on my own tap I run the Johgee 4-zone timer. The hub sits indoors by the router and talks by radio through the wall to the unit out on the tap. My pots and baskets get their own zone, a short drink at 6 every morning while I am on the early shift. Honest limit. A timer cannot rescue a pot that has already turned. You do the soak first. What it buys is never needing the rescue again. And if you are home every day with a couple of pots, a watering can does the same job for free. So what does all of that mean for your garden? Let me be fair to the new bags first. This is not a campaign against peat-free. The new mixes grow perfectly good plants, and they are what the shops sell now. They just arrived without a rule book, and the old rules were written for a different material. So here's the new rule book. 5 habits, all of them free. 1. Judge pots by weight, not by looks. Weight is the only witness in this whole story that never lies. 2. A pale top can hide a wet middle. Before you water on looks alone, sink a finger in, down to the second knuckle. 3. Watch the clock at the drainage holes. A drink that took its time is real. Water out in seconds went round the root ball, not through it. 4. Bone dry means soak from below. The washing up bowl succeeds where the watering can fails. 5. Keep a rhythm, because every problem in this episode starts with a pot swinging between soaked and baked, little and regular, and the trap never gets the chance to spring.